Let's talk about Ophelia, because she is definitely not easy character to play, especially right after her release. I've been testing a few builds for her, and right now, Rex ST or modules seems to be among the strongest options. Bolt 1, the best for pure damage output, but it's dependent on RNG. If you don't get good procs, the performance drops a quite bit. That's why we can go for Bolt 2. In Bolt 2, we swap out one damage accessory from the main weapon and replace it with the crit buff. On the secondary weapon, we aim to trigger only one accessory. This setup effectively gives us two chances to activate damage buff reaction accessory as soon as possible, which make the overall damage output much more consistent. Before getting into the main showcase, there is some unfortunate news about Ophelia. Her code skill that activates critical state does not count as a buff. Her critical sense talent also does not count as a buff. This has a big impact on how certain builds and synergies work, so it's important to keep in mind when optimizing her setup. During testing, we learned something really important. Each Rex module buff counts as a separate buff. This means we can actually generate buff constantly. Let me show you what I mean. First attack, Rex module activate, no reaction accessories yet, we have only one buff. Second attack, Rex module activated again. Now we have two buffs in total. It could be 4, but critical sense and critical state effect doesn't count as a buff. Third attack, Rex module activate, now we have reached 3 buffs. Up to this point, we still haven't triggered boost or armor accessories. But once we hit 3 or more buffs from Rex, we constantly gain a chance to trigger reaction accessories. And there you go, this time even piercing activated. That's why this is my recommended build right now if you are using Rex module or Rex ST. It's consistent and give you better chances to trigger your accessories. The only downside is that it needs a bit a warm-up before you build up your stacks. But honestly, that lineups with how Ophelia works anyway. You already need to build up stack for her talent, so it doesn't really slow you down. Now let's move on to the showcase and destroy Goodsman using only Ophelia. No supports buff, no Mary, just Ophelia. We start with the secondary weapon, first to speed up things up and trigger the damage buff early. First attack, we already get proc, that's 1 Rex buff plus 1 accessory buff. Second attack, regardless of RNG, since we trigger Rex anyway, we now reach 3 total buffs. At that point, we can safely switch to the main weapon and start dealing real damage. If you have seen my Ophelia run for 2 turns clearance ops number 14, this makes things much easier. She can delete Gatsman completely on her own. As we can see, Gatsman just get melted even without execution. And for Asuka, after taking down Deborah, she doesn't even need to go for Gatsman anymore. Just focus on the Garcia. It makes the wall run much smoother and super efficient if you're doing daily farming. But what if you don't have Rex ST yet, want to use Kelly on, or you don't have Rex modules? In that case, we go for a slightly more RNG based build. The main weapon will have lower chance to trigger, but the idea stays the same. Your second weapon setup remain identical. You can also swap in different trigger accessory if needed. The goal is simple, trigger damage buff as fast as possible, then switch to your main weapon. The code skill trigger accessory is actually really solid for Ophelia too, since works with both her normal attacks and her code skills, so it also helps with AoE situation. In the showcase, we didn't trigger the damage buff immediately, it only happened after the third attack. but that's totally fine. Once the damage buff is active, that's your signal to switch to the main weapon and go all in. As we can see, at that point, Gatsman bot HP wasn't that high anymore, so we used AoE instead, which activate both weapons anyway. Hopefully that gives you the clear idea how to play a dual weapon Ophelia build, even without Rex modules. Of course, in the future there will be better modules and we'll switch to new ones. By the way, after this video you can check the updated list of the weapon accessories if you want to see the recommended combos. Link is in the description. There are a few chances, but the biggest one, snipers just get access to very strong trigger accessory, and it's honestly kind of OP. Hope you get as soon as possible. The new CO introduced 6 new accessories, and couple of them are more niche. One of them work well for mobility focused pilots like Asuka. Another one is really strong for rocket users like Eileen or Cicero. This accessory can only trigger once, but it works with AoE attacks, and when it procs, all targets take fixed damage. That's why make it so strong, and since Eileen can often fire rockets twice, we have 2 chances to trigger, which make it surprisingly consistent despite one-time limitation. And now snipers finally got something amazing. We can now combine buff accessories plus damage accessories with really strong trigger rate, all thanks to just one trigger accessory. The best part, it fits perfectly with how snipers already play. Snipers want to stay at 4 range anyway. You can pair a sniper rifle with Natalia's signature to maximize weapon passive damage, or run Sylvie to fully benefit from her skill passive. With this setup, Sylvie or really any sniper can trigger damage plus crit buffs much more constantly, but it gets even better. You can also get guarantee 0.1 damage accessory proc, which is huge during combat. Normally, Sylvie struggles to one-shot certain targets. For example, new content, new challenges, normally Sylvie struggles to one-shot certain targets, like arm HP even, with single 1 AP attack. But with added buffs and the guarantee 0.1 damage trigger, she actually can. That's the massive upgrade in consistency and overall performance. Also, if you get the purple version of this accessory, you can easily use it until you get the gold one. The purple version is already better than all the old gold accessories we used before. Just remember the key condition, stay at the 4 range when shooting. The last new accessory is really unique. Could be great for specific challenges where strong elites use tactical weapons. In some fights, those enemies are hard to deal. They have a lot of HP and can constantly disturb your run. But with this accessory, even if you cannot destroy them quickly, you can still put them into reload state, so they cannot use tactical weapons. Unfortunately, this doesn't work on the bosses, but still it's very useful in the right situation. By the way, we also updated our pilots guide from version 1.0 up to the current update. You can check them all if you want to see the current best build and some future options as well.